All right, guys. So let's talk about Enshrouded. This game was kind of fun. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of like Valheim with a little bit easier crafting, and just controls were very, very easy. Tab targeting, not too bad either. Overall, I think all the classes are very easy to play. Fighter, Ranger's very easy to play as well. Crafting the arrows and stuff, we didn't have access to anything other than arrows you found. But other than that, I mean, like, you could always craft regular arrows, and every class seems to hit pretty decently hard. The wizard, actually, with the wands is pretty insane. I feel like the wizards have very, very high DPS. But then again, it does feel like all classes hit for about the same, to be fair. So you aren't stuck with like this meta build that you have to build, and you can just probably chill with your friends and play the game. And that, to me, means a lot nowadays when it comes to games, even in early access, right? With that being said, with the 7.5 hours that I put into the game, I will say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning all the new things and seeing all the stuff that's on the maps, seeing a few different weapons, and what weapons can be found in the game. We found quite a few, and we'll show you guys a few of those as we speak, actually. All right, guys, so here's some of the weapons that we've picked up during our playthrough with our Ranger. It's actually a really cool game because you're not limited in how you build your class, right? Or your character. I don't know what the max level is. I didn't get the chance to really go and play until that, because it said that the game was going to be ending on the 22nd and that no one would be able to play anymore after that. So I'm guessing time's running out very soon. So we're not going to be able to see what the max level is and or experiment with different builds. You also, as far as I know, you cannot respec your characters. But there are a lot of very interesting builds that you could possibly do. If you can get, we'll say, if you could level maybe to 20 or 30 max, you could probably do some really cool combinations. Like you could actually, there's no rogue, but there are sneak attacks and there's merciless attacks. And some of these actually pair up together, right? And like this is a fight, like I'm assuming red means fighter, obviously. Blue means mage. And like, as you can see, all of these things are working with wands and stuff like that. Or when you hit, critical hit with a magical weapon. But a lot of these things are basically melee oriented damage type things. And then they link into other stuff, right? So to me, this kind of makes me feel like this is like a hybrid for like what you would do if you wanted to be a rogue or something. That's just my thought process for the type of different builds you can do in this game. Now, what we did end up doing is we went with a full Ranger build, which is pretty fun. We only have access to making wooden arrows and finding, there was 2 other different types of arrows, scrap, and I believe I can't remember what the other one is off the top of my mind. We ran out of them. So, but those arrows, you could notice a significant increase in damage just by having them. So it's going to be kind of cool when you're able to craft them. Now, a lot of the stuff that we can craft, you have your metal sheets that you can make out of the forge. I'm sure they're going to increase that. As well as like in the kiln, or the kiln, or whatever however you pronounce it, you could do 3 different types of things. Now, wood acid, I couldn't find anything for yet. I'm assuming it's going to be for when full release happens. Tar is for like making different like building items and stuff like that. And charcoal is just for mostly, from what I noticed, from what limited play we had, was for crafting steel plates. Now, another cool thing is you can actually enhance your weapons through those little runes that you see in our backpack right here. These right here, you can also get these from salvaging weapons that you don't want to use anymore. The crafting is pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy for the most part. You find some new item, and you're able to basically, it unlocks different things, kind of like Valheim, same thing. Very cool, very cool. We did all the quests during this playthrough. It was not too bad. I can't complain, actually. There's a total of 5 different craftspeople. One of the craftspeople that we ended on that we couldn't get to because the game is not full released was over in that vicinity over there where our marker is. And basically that was the alchemist. So I'm assuming once we get the alchemist unlocked, we will have access to much more interesting and cool potions and poisons and whatever else, right? So wands are pretty cool. Wands don't use mana. They can leech mana though. And wands, as you can see, get more damage inside the shroud, which is the area where you have a limited amount of time, and if the time runs out and you're down there, you die. Kind of interesting, kind of cool, not gonna lie. Was not expecting that. I was expecting more of a like, oh, my life's ticking away, so I still have a little bit of time to get out. That's not the case. So staffs, these right here, are your ranged weapon as a caster, and you use those to basically cast healing, or you can do ice bolts or fireballs. Pretty cool. Now these you can craft. We can only craft, I think, currently ice bolts. I'm assuming you need to unlock the alchemist or maybe a different trader in order to go further with that. Now with that being said, I mean, you have your starter gear that we were able to make. We also found a few rings, ring of health, ring of stamina. Your quest lines are going to make you create your grappling hook as well as your glider, which helps out quite a bit. Your shields and armor are pretty cool. All of those can be made through your blacksmith. And honestly, I found that there's not much of a difference in these armor sets. Like, why would I want to make this armor set when I could just go ahead and make this one and get way more benefits out of it, right? So look at the helmet. Why waste the resources? Unless they add something to these that gives you a reason to run lighter armor, like maybe movement speed or more damage or something. I think that the game is obviously, it's still being developed, so maybe they'll eventually add stuff in later on. Who knows? Maybe they'll just keep it like a base sets with one's going to have more physical resistance, one's going to have more magical, and then that's what they're just for. But as of right now, with playing this game, I didn't see a reason in making anything other than the Rising Fighter set. The first set just doesn't make sense to me because it doesn't offer you anything better. Now, I will say you can make better pickaxes and felling axes than what your manual crafting can do. So those seem like a total worth in order, to do so. Also, if you're a magic character, you can start off early on and make actual staffs and wands, so you don't have to be stuck waiting for something to drop from a mob. So that was kind of cool. I like that. Resources, you can always find resources to make bandages and other stuff like that. The summoning staff is something that you make to summon your blacksmith and whatever the other 4 vendors or merchants will be, or they call them survivors. This is a pretty nifty idea. I don't know if you're going to have only one up at a time, or if you can just craft 5 of these summoning staffs. I think that would be ideal. Just stash them away and then do it whenever. Pull them out whenever you need them. Like in Valheim, these guys have to be under cover or inside a building in order to be able to craft stuff or upgrade things. So keep that in mind when this game full releases. That's going to be one of those things you're going to want to look out for. So we're going to look through some of these weapons so you guys can kind of see what kind of weapons they have, what attributes and bonuses they get. Mages rely on intelligence for damage, and spirit for extra mana if you need it. Rangers kind of really only rely on basically for stamina. So you're like looking for endurance, right? And agility. You'll see right here. So endurance is going to increase your stamina, and then dexterity is going to be your damage. And we'll actually look at those real quick as well so that you guys can kind of see what the attributes do. Constitution increases health by 50 per. Spirit, 20 per. Endurance, 10 stamina per. Then you get melee damage is 5% per. Dexterity does 5% per. Same with intelligence, 5% per. And then you just got your base stats here that you can get extras, through other means, obviously through your gear. We didn't have a lot of access to too much gear in this playthrough, so we'll see how it goes as the game progresses. We made it to level 5 on this character, so we're doing pretty good. Like I said, I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I will say these weapons are all pretty interesting. The hammer was quite deceiving, actually. Or the two-handed axe, I guess you could say. This one right here. The spine splitter. This one hit pretty hard, but it felt like the range was kind of low. And another interesting thing about this is you could block with it parry. Parrying in this game will off-balance your enemies so you can hit them harder and faster. Or not faster, but harder. And it like basically stuns them. So it just gives you like free hits, basically. But this did hit pretty hard. I enjoyed using that. The Wailing Blade was kind of cool because it basically felt like it was a torch when we were using it. Because it just left everything lit up in front of you. So you didn't have to have a torch out. You can run around. Another interesting thing about this is it was all physical damage, and it's like kind of even. So if there's any kind of like resistances, you still will do pretty decent damage to whoever you're attacking or whatever you're attacking. Whereas like the Lightbringer only has cutting and a little bit of piercing damage, and also gets an additional damage from, Shroud, fighting in the Shroud. This one also lights up the area around you as well. It's kind of cool. One thing that's notable is you get more crit chance with this blade. And as you can see with some of the other weapons, it's crit chance. Spine Splitter is crit hit damage and crit chance. Let's look at, so the Scythe. These are like your one-handed weapons, probably more like an assassin type weapon. This one does critical hit damage. I'm kind of sad I didn't find a gold version of this because I feel like we would have got to see some really cool stuff with this. Like more stats that you'd see would grow with it. And as you can see here, this one does primarily piercing damage as well. Kind of cool. So definitely very interesting game, to say the least. Now we'll show you how some of the bows and stuff work. We got 3 minutes left, so hopefully we don't mess up this take. So as you can see here, there's a little bit of drop with the arrows. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and switch over to the wand. So as you can see here, the wand does not, this is a short to medium range weapon. It does not have a long range, but this thing does some pretty good damage, to be fair. Now for your ranged option for your mages, it actually uses, so this one heals. You can cast this on your friends and it'll heal them up. You also have ice bolts, which is the only thing you craft during this playthrough. And then you got fireballs, which we found as well. This one's kind of cool. So this uses your mana, which is your little blue line up here to the left. Isn't that cool? But as you can tell, we don't have a lot of intelligence. So we're limited to casting that like 1 or 2 times. Now how you would select these is you would equip. You just right click and equip it. And that's the one that you'll be using. Now, I don't know if I'm assuming if you're playing like different roles, you could probably put these down here and you could tap it to equip it, most likely. Let's check it out. Yep, let's see. So if you want to do DPS and heal, you have the ability to do so. right? Just equip set item. See? Or you can do you hold it and you can press up and down on your scroll bar, your mouse wheel, and you can scroll through it that way to cast it as well. Now I don't know if you can heal yourself. It doesn't seem like you can, but let's see if we can show you guys a few of the things. The construction in this game basically uses like a hammer. We'll actually show you that real quick too. We got a minute. So as you can see here, there's a bunch of different things you can do, and there's a lot of different materials. You guys probably didn't see them all, but let's see if I can show you a few in here. Actually, we can craft a bunch. So as you can see here, there's all kinds of different blocks. Mycelium, you got the rough flintstone, so that you basically build your buildings out of this. Nothing ever attacked my base that I know of. We only played for, like I said, 7.5 hours. So kind of interesting. You also have different tables you can build, doors, illumination. All these give different comforts and stuff like that. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed just a little brief talk through. I would recommend buying this game so far, or at least picking it up in early access. It looks promising. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll see you all in the next one.